bring both live streams, so I got two phones and two laptops going right now. Let's see how this works. This is why multi-streaming softwares are so valuable. All right, we're gonna check YouTube real quick. Hope everyone's having a good night, and if you're sleeping right now, I hope you're having sweet dreams because it is almost 1 in the morning, and I'm feeling I'm talking into the void, but that's okay. All right, we're good on YouTube. Yeah, okay. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, okay. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, okay. Let's see how it sounds. All right, clearly we're echoing. Yeah, okay. Let's see how it sounds. All right, clearly we're echoing. All right, clearly we're echoing. All right, clearly we're echoing. All right, everyone on Facebook, just stick with me for a minute here. The Facebook audio. Everyone on Facebook, just stick with me. Okay, now I see the issue. Okay. I think I had the wrong microphone selected. Dark? How's it sound now? It's bright? Okay, did that work? How's it sound now? It's bright? Okay, did that work? Still echoing. Hold on a second. Well, I don't understand why it's echoing. Uh, everyone on YouTube, just hold on a second. I'm streaming over on Facebook as well, and the Facebook stream seems to be okay, but the YouTube still seems to be echoing. Stream seems to be okay. Is it echoing for everyone, or is that just me? My shirt. Wait. Okay, it's good on your end. Okay, that's weird. You know what? Let me check over here. Is it echoing again? I'm sorry. This is a totally different setup. I'm trying something different tonight. I don't understand what's going on with it. The echo when you touch that. Okay. Hmm. I started on Facebook with my audience. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I've been on Facebook a lot longer. All right, let's see how it sounds over here. All right, let's see how it sounds over here. Yeah, that seems to be better. Okay. All right, cool. So I think we're in business. Yeah, that seems to be better. Okay. All right, cool. All right, everyone. Yeah, I started on Facebook with my audience. Tried to move over to YouTube. I'm monetized on Facebook at the moment, at least. So there's that. I'm gonna open the Facebook tab again and see what's going on over there. All right, we're good. It's crazy how much worse the camera is over on Facebook, but all right, what up, people? Yeah, we're just trying to get those watch hours up. Uh, if I could live stream at a reasonable hour, it'd probably be a lot easier, but because I can't get up here till about midnight. Daisy Aruba, you said your comment disappeared? That's weird. I didn't delete anyone's comment or anything like that. Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to get those watch hours up too. I also just put out a long form video yesterday. You said I excited on accident. I missed the Facebook. How you started. I was trying to say, "Oh no, it's not you. It's my phone." Okay, yeah. Yeah, I started on Facebook because obviously that was just like the easiest way to connect with like family and friends, and they were my first supporters. I didn't really have anyone listening in the beginning, but I started out making music, and I just wanted a way to post my music online, and I started sharing my songs. I was always very anti social media for a very long time, so I've been late to all the social media platforms. But when I did finally start to take it serious, yeah, I started building on Facebook because that's where all my friends and stuff were at. But then I realized that there is an actual audience for some of these things that I talk about here, and it's probably better to expand as much as possible. And YouTube was the next platform I was most familiar with, so I started posting on YouTube as well. And from what I understand, it's also the best platform to monetize on. At least they pay their creators the most. So, and YouTube has actually helped me reach a much wider audience. The communities over on YouTube are really cool actually. A lot seems like a lot less bots than over on Facebook. So, Facebook is so much spam and fake stuff. Hold up. Hold up now. Okay, so something can't be right. Okay, so something can't be right. I'm gonna figure out my audio issues one way or another. Okay, so something can't be right. I'm gonna figure out my audio. I know it might sound okay to you guys, but yeah, this ain't right. You said, yeah, music is amazing. I want to make music too. Sadly, my family members reported my accounts in Meta and I was blocked from my ads I paid for. They wouldn't let me cancel them because I lost access to run ads. Yeah, that's frustrating. I've run some ads on Facebook before, and although I mean the results varied, I had some pretty decent success with it. What's going on with this, man? It seems like it seems like the microphone that's coming through Seems like I'm using my phone mic when I should not be doing that. We should be we should be using the actual microphone, not the microphone on the phone. Especially if I ever want to clip these. Yeah, no, I'm actually I'm not hearing the echo on my end. That's not the issue. The issue is I don't think that YouTube is using the correct microphone. Like, I mean, I guess if it sounds okay, that's cool. But I have a better mic that it should be using. That it should be using. Yeah, weird how that's happening. All right, I'm gonna have to share this to some groups. Why is phone mic not good? Serious question. Glad you got your start with family supporting you, and oh, I'm glad you're not hearing the echo. Yeah, I mean, the microphone on the phone itself is just inferior, especially if I'm ever gonna go to edit these videos or clip them. One thing that I've noticed and that I've heard also from other creators is that audio quality is more important than camera quality these days. So like people are more likely to swipe away if it doesn't sound good. So like I'm just wondering, and the thing is like I more likely to swipe away if it doesn't sound good. Is it this? So like I'm just wondering, and the thing is like I more likely to swipe away if it doesn't sound good. Let's see what happens. Is it this? So like I'm just wondering. No. The thing is like Hmm. All right. Well, I'll have to figure that out next time. Doesn't seem like this thing is working. Whatever. We're here. What up, people? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna try to share this out over on Facebook real quick and see what happens. Yeah, there's a lot of night owls on YouTube. I see that now. I see that. Yeah, there's really no one over on Facebook. Although if I share it to the group and to my personal page, then we might get more people in here. Eventually, I would like to. Yeah, yeah, YouTube for sure. Yeah. Uh, Eventually, I'd like to get people to join in these live streams and have discussions about some of these different topics with me. Especially would like to invite up a lot of the people that talk about debates or people that try to talk trash in the comments because I just don't have time to go back and forth with comments. It's just way too time consuming and doesn't seem like it's fruitful enough. It's really easy for people to just leave the conversation when it's all in comments, but if you actually have a face-to-face conversation with people, you could kind of hold their feet to the fire a little bit. Yeah, I'm talking about debates and I'm talking about trolls, but no, mostly the topics that I like to go over is like dream psychology, ancient symbolism, history, metaphysics, quantum physics. Happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday. Okay, Nisi3, you said it's my birthday tomorrow morning. It's really early and I tried everybody. Nobody gives me a shout out. Can somebody in the comments say happy birthday or give me a shout out? Yeah, shout out to you. Happy birthday. Uh I don't think I'm beautiful, but thank you. Are you trying to do podcasting? Do you have a partner for podcasting? You love all those topics. Keep them coming. Uh I mean, I'm not no, I don't have a partner for podcasting. This is quite an independent thing here. until I can actually get my setup stable enough. I don't know about bringing a partner into it. I mean, I would love to have my girl out here doing it with me, but like, yeah, audio is more for podcasts. That's true. Um, yeah, and I mean, I do kind of podcasting. Like I used to go live every single week. I used to go live every Sunday and was building a good little group, and that was mostly over on Facebook. Three people works too. Like Mile High. I didn't mean relationship partner, strictly business. No, I know what you mean. Uh, yeah, like the thing is, I would have to. Does my girl want to do podcasting? Nah, she's not into none of this. But yeah, I would definitely join forces with other creators and stuff. But I'd have to feel it out. And there are some people out there that I would love to get on here to work with. Most people I run into online are mostly opposition though. So there's definitely going to be some debates here in the future. There's been a few people that like leave a lot of comments under my stuff, like you said, the trolls. A lot of them lately, I've had been having a lot of beef with like hardcore Christians that like to comment under every one of my videos about history and on with some Jesus stuff. So I've been and one of them said that he would like to join me with a in a gentlemanly debate or something. So that'd be cool. That's definitely something I would be down for. Uh, and on top of that, I just like talking about dreams and dream psychology and symbolism. And I think like for a long time, for the first 2 or 3 years here, I've been trying to be relatively non-controversial. But I realize it's pretty much controversy is like unavoidable. I just have to choose which avenue I want to take it down. And like I do my best to stay away from the politics and stuff. I'm admittedly pretty ignorant when it comes to like modern politics. Oh, you said you were out for a second. Wait, so us trying to debate the people who comment things. So I'm trying to comment the people who comment things. I'm trying to debate people who comment things on my music or Facebook. Oh, it's impossible. You cannot be non-controversial no matter what you do. You're always going to have controversy. That's true. Send a lot of people on YouTube. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Yeah. I know politics is where it's at, but like I can't stand it, first of all. And I mean, I'm more interested in like historical politics. I know it's very important to know what's going on in the world, but like I have to choose what to focus on. I only have so much time. And I'm usually working on videos for different deep dive topics that go along with my niche, like, symbolism and ancient history and occultic practices. Okay, yeah, yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool if you miss it. So, well, that's what I was gonna get onto, like with the debates, and if the people on Facebook, like if you guys start seeing me, if it seems like I'm being a little more antagonistic and stuff, it's just because I think debates are actually really valuable. I spend a lot of my time listening to debates. I also listen to a lot of lectures too and audiobooks. But the one thing about the debates is that, like, for someone like me, I don't have a good memory. A lot of you guys ask me, like, how do I remember all this stuff or how do I know all this stuff? And I don't. Like, I literally, I can read a book 10 times and still forget 90% of it. So the thing about debates is that, like, it's cool because the two people a lot of times when they're arguing with each other they will reiterate their points over and over to make their point and that helps me remember things. It's also good because you don't just blow through information. You actually have someone there that's double checking you and that's gonna jump on you if you say something wrong. So, and I always like to see both sides to the story. I like to play devil's advocate with my own ideas. ADHD, I mean, maybe I have ADHD. I don't have problem focusing, but like, I mean, I'm sure I got some type of stuff. How did I get into that? Ancient history is amazing. Yeah, Audible learner. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's yeah, Audible too. I mean, I like to read, and I forget 90% of what I hear too. Like that's the thing. I can listen to a lecture and I'll have to like stop it and rewind it 10 times because the important parts I really want to lock into my brain. Or I'll have to listen to the same lecture 20 times and I still forget a bunch of it. So what I like about debates is that a lot of times when these guys are arguing or these people are arguing, they will repeat themselves over and over, or they'll come up with analogies to clarify what they're trying to say to make it more clear for the debates. That's why I like listening to debates, and that's why I think they're really valuable. Uh, but I mean, the main reason I do the audio is because it's more convenient than reading. I work 50, 60 hours a week. So while I'm working for 8 to 10 hours straight, I can just put in my earbud and listen to things sometimes. And that happens to you with math. Yo, me too. Me too. I'm definitely not the best with math. Let me check something real quick. Okay. Yeah, no, math. I mean, math is definitely my worst subject. I like applied math. I enjoy it. I'm actually not that bad at it, but compared to people that are good at it, yeah. But this is why I think debates are so valuable, and this is why, if anyone's wondering, I'm gonna start drawing in some of these Christians because I think it's a good way to not only share the truth, but it's a good way to lock in information. Are you listening to people who are arguing over each other and not letting the other talk? No. Oh, I see. I'm not working, so I have time for now. I can do a lot if I'm interested in a topic. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not I mean I listen to all different types of debates. I listen to like the call-in shows. I listen to actual formal debates. And no, it's not really people like arguing over each other. It's usually like the good thing about the debates is that people are less likely to share nonsense information. People are more likely to make sure that their points are bulletproof. What I realized is that just listening to lectures or just following different people and just reading specific books, a lot of times, we get caught in these echo chambers. And if someone can keep repeating the same nonsense over and over, if maybe they made a mistake, or kind of, maybe they're deliberately lying, but and then people will share that information and then they just keep building on the same false premise, and there's no one there to actually hold their feet to the fire. So when you get into these debates and these online arguments and stuff, people, you're going to get caught if you're making a false assumption, and someone's actually going to hold you to it and call you out on it eventually, hopefully. Okay. Unless it's counting my money and budgeting right with math. The difference between debates and arguing is a fine line. I agree. I agree. Okay, I'll stop now. I want to hear about the Christian thing, what you're trying to debate. Do you lose memory if the topic is not interesting? Not necessarily. It's just that, like, I mean, No, not necessarily. It's just that I like to remember specific names and dates, and I'm always working on informational videos. And the videos that I make are really, really research heavy. And I like to try to make sure I get my facts straight. I don't want to misrepresent things. I really try to keep my points as tight as possible. I mean, there's times to explore the boundless wonders, and abstract thought is extremely valuable as well. But I like to make sure that my points are pretty bulletproof in everything I try to do. I don't want to be just another person out here sharing nonsense. Like, there's been topics that I wanted to make videos about, but then in deep research on these topics, I realized they're not as soundproof as people realize. So I can't just make a video to sensationalize this topic without pointing out the fact that most of it is based on nonsense. Like, one of those things was with astrology. I wanted to make a video about astrology and zodiac signs. And I was relatively familiar already with some of the misconceptions and how there's ones that are missing and the Barnum effect and all that. But I still thought that there might be something to it, and I wanted to look up statistics and things to try to steel man that. Looks like the laptop's dying already, but I wanted to make a video about astrology just to explore the wonders of it, and then actually looking at the data and really reading deep into it. I realized, like, it's nonsense. Like, astrology is nonsense. Your zodiac sign is nonsense. And I know people don't like to hear that. So I ended up just not making the video. But at this point, I think I'm gonna actually make the video just so people understand how much time they're wasting. It was cool. It's cool to have fun. I do think that astrological bodies can have some sort of energetic effect across vast distances, and that's a, you know, but it's not the way that most astrologers make it seem. Just like with every single category, there are people who take it to the extreme, and they water it down with a bunch of nonsense. Right, you need a research assistant, right? What was the astrology effect you said? I don't think I've heard of it before, and it's the birth chart. Yeah, it's just something very basic called the Barnum effect. I don't know if you've ever heard of Barnum and Bailey, the guys who ran the circus years ago. But P.T. Barnum, who, like I said, he was the owner of the circus. This was named after him. It was, I mean, I could look it up. This astronomy are the planets. I recommend magic and their astrological almanacs. It explains the breakdown. Like, think of a sundial. Yes, 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 exactly. But the Barnum effect was named of after a teacher who gave his students one. It was a it was a one reading, one astrological chart that read out all of their traits. It was the same exact thing. He gave it to a bunch of different students, and he tried this over and over again. And this has also been repeated in even larger experiments over and over again. But you give a bunch of different people the same exact astrological reading, just basically says their personality, things that have happened to them in the past, things that are going to happen to them in the future, what they like, what their personality traits are. And you give it to everybody, and more than 90% of the people say that it matches them. And the problem is, it was only one reading for one zodiac sign. So the Barnum effect basically comes from P.T. Barnum's quote, where he says, "A sucker is born every minute." And that's why it was called that, because people will fall for anything. And cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias leads us to interpret vague things in a very specific way. You said the moon and the waves in the ocean, not basic to me. I haven't. Oh, yes, the carnies. Yeah. Yeah, no, no, no. And that's what I'm saying. Astrological bodies definitely have an effect across vast distances, but it's just not as specific. And then the other issue is that the zodiac sign that people are following through the precession of the equinox is not even the same as it was when the original zodiac was made. And unless like you're, and there are some really, really advanced astrologers that do definitely calculate for all these differences, but most people, their birth sign is wrong. It's not even what they think it is because the precession of the equinox has changed it over time. You said the birth charts are specific to you. Do you know the alignment of each planet in the time of birth? Well, yeah, it's not and the thing is there's sun signs and there's moon signs, so it's not just the alignments of the planets. What is an astrological body? When I say astrological body, I basically just mean anything out in space, whether it's a planet or a moon or a sun, and in relation to astrology. Do you know each planet rules? Well, yeah, there's the sun sign, there's the moon sign as your rising sign, but there's also Mercury, Venus, Jupiter. Yes, yes, of course, of course. I've got a couple books on the shelf there about astrology, but the other issue, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to take it, but the thing is that if you look at the interpretations of different zodiac signs from different astrologers and from different books, there's such a wide variety of descriptions, and there's definitely a lot of overlap, but there are so many contradicting descriptions. Sorry, it takes me away if I use talk to text. Okay. The specifics of it are extremely detailed if you know the info. Yo, Daisy Aruba, if you ever want to jump up here and actually have like and talk about these things, that'd be great. Like I said, I'm gonna start doing like live debates more than anything, but yeah, it's also good to have just good productive conversations. Some of these things are a little too complicated to just. I'm not trying to make money from it though. The effect you speak of is just the favorite topic for most people, which is themselves. Yeah, and fake. You mean fake palmistry or fox palmistry? I don't know what that is, but confident men are con man. Yeah. Yeah, palm reading is another one. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but yeah, palm reading is another one. I also have a book on that, The Basics of Palm Reading. And that is just pretty much nonsense. I mean, I hate to say it. But the other thing about astrology, the other issue is that like the zodiac signs are they're of course they exist out there, but as they're grouped together, the dots that we've connected, those are just fabrications of the human mind. These are imaginary dots that we can connect. Not to say that those planets and stars and moons can't have an effect on us, but it's like the effect that they have, they're pretty arbitrary. The effects that we attribute to them are pretty arbitrary. Not only that, but there's also an entire sign that's missing out of the charts that most people don't even add in there that probably should have been added in, and that is Ophiuchus. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Ophiuchus. It's spelled I think it's Ophiucus. Uh Ophiuchus is another sign that like people just leave out. But if you add that in there the way that I think it probably should be added in there, then that would change everyone's zodiac sign. So like, oh, what did I mean? I want to get Christians here. What about Catholics? Is it religion overall? I mean, Catholics Catholics are Christians. Yeah, Christian as the broad category, and basically anyone who thinks that the Bible is true. because yeah, because they seem to be the most antagonistic in the comment sections. Like when I first started out with this, and you could see it in my older live videos and even in the videos I was making, pre-recording and posting, I was very gentle towards the topic of Christianity. Like I didn't I was cool with like the concept of Christ consciousness, and I can appreciate some progressive views on the Bible. He said, I'm weird. Astronomy is a science. It's new to learn. Takes time. Probably me asking so many questions. No, no, you're cool. It's cool. Yeah, I'm more interested in astronomy, of course, the actual science. Astrology is just 99% nonsense. Doesn't mean that we can't find meaning in space, in the stars. I mean, I'm fascinated with the night sky. I love looking through telescopes. I've been night watching before. It's cool. And like you said, yes, the moon has an effect on us. Obviously the moon has an effect on the tides. Our bodies are mostly made of water. There's no reason to think that it's not having some sort of effect on us. And actually, the sun has more of an effect on the tides than the moon does. It's just that people don't acknowledge that as much. But yeah, the gravitational effect of the sun is actually stronger than the effect of the moon, even though the moon is so much closer. But and that and that maybe distant planets also have some sort of effect through the fabric of space-time. There's lots of ways to argue that it's plausible, and it can and does make sense. It's just not what they say. Well, I wasn't even on live. I just skipped to live. Jesus, sorry. It's cool. Yo, Cliff, comprehend complexity, explain simply, debate, debating, opinionated perspectives. Yeah. Yeah, because so many of these Christians love to leave so many comments, and they'll say that they'll debate me, but then it's tough to catch them. And I feel like when I need to start going live more regularly and kind of draw them in. And there's people I talk to like at work. There's at least two people specifically that I would love to get up here. Great guys. I get along with them great, but like they're so engulfed in the dogmatic nonsense. I was behind and YouTube didn't tell me. Oh, okay. What about Catholics? Okay, Catholics are Christians. Christian is a broad category. A Catholic is a type of Christian. So yeah, I would love to get some of those Catholics up here for debates. Although, like, I, I mean, there's something to say about every denomination. Catholics are definitely some of the worst. Or Jews, Hindus. What's the focus on Christians? Again, Catholics are a type of Christian. Christianity is the most popular denomination or the most popular branch where I live, and it seems to be, obviously in the Western world. So there's more Christians out there. So, just by default, there's more antagonistic Christians out there for me. And Jews and Hindus, the thing about Jews is that I agree with Jews on like a lot of the things that they believe. And there's a lot of is quite popular now, atheistic Jews. There's a lot of atheist Jews, people who practice it as their culture, but they don't believe that act all the supernatural nonsense. So and then even the ones that do believe in the God still, they're when I talk to Jews, we can talk about the same things a lot of the time because they also don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. They know that he didn't fulfill any prophecies, which he didn't, if he even existed, which I do think he existed. But they're well aware of the fact that the Christians came and basically just took their book, reinterpreted it, added on to it, and contradicted it, and then tried to make it their own. So, like, we can agree on I can agree on a lot of things with Jews. The point of contention comes in the fact that their book is also nonsense. The Torah is also nonsense. That God is also completely contradictory and makes zero sense. And the Old Testament has just as much, well, not just as much, but the Old Testament has lots of issues, just like the New Testament. It's just that like Christians and the New Testament, they just made it even worse. It's like they built a glass house on top of toothpicks. It's just like there's no solid foundation to anything because Christianity built on Judaism, which was already nonsense. And then they just added even more nonsense to try to make it make sense, and they had to contradict it, and none of it works out. Now, Hindus, yeah, Judaism is the first of the Abrahamic faiths, yeah. But Hindus, they're not as antagonistic, and there's not many of them. Like, I'm not in India, so like there's not as many Hindus seeing my content or that I talk to in my daily life. Most people are Christian, whether they're actual practicing or not, or they have Christian influence. So, but also the thing about Hindus is that I appreciate Hinduism more than Christianity, and it's not just to be opposed to Christians. It has nothing to do with that. It's that actually reading the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavad Panama, I think it was, like their theology is fascinating to me, and just some of it makes a little bit more sense than Christianity. I still think it's nonsense. Like I would never take their fabrications as truth either, but like it's more interesting to me, and it's a little bit more logical. Like the concept of reincarnation makes a lot more sense than Christianity's heaven and hell, which the real issue is with that is that you got Hindus in Northeast USA. Well, I'm also in Northeast USA, but it is dominantly Christian uh, for the most part. I mean, there's a lot of Jewish people, but like I said, the other thing about the Jews is that a lot of them just don't care as much because uh, they don't feel like it's their responsibility to save people. They're not called on to evangelize the way that Christians are. The New Testament is what says that they have to go out there and spread the word of Christ and spread the gospel. The Old Testament, they didn't really even care. And in the earliest stages of Judaism, they didn't even have any solid concept of heaven or hell at all. There was definitely no heaven, and there was no definitive hell in the Old Testament at all. You won't find it. To them, it was called Sheol, and it was known as like a dark, shadowy realm that we go to after we die. But it was kind of ambiguous, and that there was really nothing more to it. It wasn't like judgment or anything. And then also, and then there's also a strong branch of the of the ancient Jews. What were they? They were called the Sadducee. In ancient Judaism, the Sadducees had their own theology. That's the other thing about this is that none of them can have ever agreed on anything, just like the Christians don't. That's why there's more than 30,000 different Christian denominations. But there are different branches of Judaism even before, like this is long before Christianity. And the Sadducees actually, they didn't even believe in any afterlife at all. So that's why they say that's why they were so sad, you see, because they didn't have anything to look forward to after they died. But then as far as the Old Testament is concerned, there is no concept of heaven or hell. That didn't even exist until the New Testament or the Intertestament eras, because they started to be influenced by the Greco-Roman philosophies and the Zoroastrian beliefs from the from the Middle East. And this is so obvious because we can find it in the actual movement of these people groups. After the exile, they ended up spreading out, and that's why uh, when the Torah was translated into the Greek Septuagint, the Greek's version of the Old Testament, that's around the time. That's what all the New Testament writers were reading. The New Testament writers were reading from the Greek Septuagint. We know this because they didn't quote the original Hebrew text at all in the New Testament. There's like one or two vague lines that were quoted from Hebrew. Everything else, 99.9% of the New Testament, anytime it quotes the Old Testament, it's quoting from the Greek translation of it, not the original Hebrew. So we see how as the as the as the Israelites started to blend with the Greeks, they started to get a more solid concept of heaven and hell. And that's where they picked up on, and that's why in the New Testament, hell is referred to as Hades so much, and also Gehenna, but also we can tell through the trade through even like written receipts and the trade routes that these people traveled along when they started intermingling with the Zoroastrians. Also, they they started to get this concept of heaven and hell because in Zoroastrianism they had a strict God and a strict devil and a like a beautiful place you go to if you were good and a horrible place you go to if you were bad. There was a strong dichotomy there. And Zoroastrianism predates Christianity by a long shot. And so did the Greek beliefs. So the Greeks believed that their gods were up in the clouds or at the tops of the mountains, and they believed that Hades was down below the ground. So this is where the New Testament picked up on that idea, and that's why Christians have that idea. It didn't even exist in the Old Testament at all. He said, yeah, we don't know what is on the other side in regards to the Jewish faith, and we are the oldest, longest living. I was thinking of how the Tamuk, I don't know what that is. It's thousands of words. It's huge just debating. This is super interesting. I don't know any of this. I know most Jews don't believe or practice faith like each Saturday or high holidays. Yeah, you know more than I do. My mom died 1.7 years. So yes, I count. I count the months because she was my only source of history. I get it. In an educational way, yeah. And it's super interesting to hear about this. I don't believe in heaven or hell. I just believe in something exists if energy doesn't dissipate. Right. And you're referring to the first law of thermodynamics that mass and energy can never be created or destroyed. They just change form. And there's a strong argument to be made for some type of afterlife based on that law, the law of thermodynamics for sure. And that's why I think it's interesting how with the Hindus, that's my point. I always get off on these tangents and forget what I was talking about, but that was my point. How these Hindus, they generally believe in reincarnation, and I think like based on the law of thermodynamics, it kind of makes sense. I mean, the energy just gets transferred into other things. That's like, sure, I mean, I still don't think it's as literal as people say it is. Like, I don't think our specific consciousness jumps into a baby and gets reborn, especially because birth rates fluctuate so much. But then they have arguments for that. Like, they talk about an in-between realm. That's why there's and I've talked to Hindus before. This one lady I talked to who was a Hindu, she explained to me that everybody in everybody around her contradicted each other. Like with Hinduism, she said it's not even a strict belief system. She said under Hinduism, of course, there are a bunch of different separate beliefs. And I explained to her that Christians do the same exact thing. So like anytime that somebody doesn't agree with someone else's belief system, they basically they'll either find a different belief system or they'll just make their own. And groups of people that agree with it will just find which one they want to go to. Just like you could find any church, I could find 10 different churches in my town here. And if I don't like the specific belief systems or political views or social views or views on the afterlife, whatever nuanced thing that I don't agree with, I can just go to the next church and, find one that suits my personal opinions. So, like you said, thermodynamics is not a specific term I heard before. That's about energy changing. And would it be more to say like Catholics worship Christ and Christians God? It's crazy theology, seems like. Uh, no, 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 no. Uh, Anybody who thinks that Christ died for their sins and accepts Christ as their savior is a Christian. So Catholics, Protestants, Orthodox, Baptists, those are all Christians. Catholics are definitely included in that. Now, you'll get certain people like strict Orthodox people who will say that Catholics aren't Christians because they worship Mary and other idols more than Christ. Whatever, they can argue amongst themselves. If they literally believe that Christ like died for their sins, then I'll consider them a Christian. Uh, or if they believe in the resurrection too. And that, I mean, Mormons consider themselves Christians. They don't like to call themselves Mormons. They like to call themselves the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they consider themselves Christians. None of the other Christian denominations consider Mormons to be Christian. But you said something you're very interested in. Were you raised strictly Christian or your girlfriend? Yes, there's two in my town. No, no gas station, plenty of liquor, of course, right? Um, no, I wasn't raised Christian at all, whatsoever. My mom was always just pretty cool and loose about it, and she always said, like, our religion is love, and as long as you're good to people, that's what matters. And I always thought that was cool. But my mom's never not like she's not a deep reader or anything. Like she's not. My dad is my dad's really smart. He always liked to read a lot. He always liked to give me books and recommend books to me. And although he was never strictly Christian, he did go through the AA program and he got sober when I was young, which was amazing for me. And, AA kind of makes you believe in God or at least accept God or claim God in one way or another. So, we did say some prayers and like we talked about it a little bit. And he recommended some C.S. Lewis to me. C.S. Lewis is one of the most popular Christian apologists, but no, still not strict. He also recommended like Native American spiritual books to me, like Carlos Castaneda and all that stuff. And I'm not strictly most interested in Christianity at all. The problem is, if it was true, I would want to know. It's a very important truth. And so I've read the Bible and now knowing that it's not true, that's also important to know because so many people commit so many atrocities because of it and waste so much time because of it. Did you know that? Did I know what Catholics say Christ is king, Christians don't, Jews don't. It's about God. Oh, okay, I'm not a theological scholar. You seem to be very educated on this. And Jews believe in the Messiah too, right? Yeah, Jews believe in a Messiah. Of course, like again, there's so many different types of Jews, and they can argue with themselves about the specifics of it, but generally, yes, the Jews believed in a Messiah. They expected the Messiah to come, and a lot of them still believe that there will be a Messiah that will come. Uh, they don't think that Jesus was the Messiah. if they did, then they would be Christian. That would make them Christians. The thing is that the Jews actually they learn the Hebrew and they memorize the Torah. They really know the Old Testament. So knowing the Old Testament, you know for sure that Jesus didn't fulfill any of those prophecies, so he couldn't be the Messiah. He didn't fulfill a single messianic prophecy. Like, wait, how do we know it's not true? You are clearly more educated than I am due to ADHD. I wasn't able to learn and I was just labeled as dumb, not victim mentality. I'm not a victim. No, I get it. Yeah. No, I mean, I might have had ADHD and just never got diagnosed. I know someone very specific who's really, really educated on this stuff, way smarter than me. And he's definitely has serious ADHD. So it's not about that. And like, I'm not definitely mentally superior to anyone in any way. I don't do anything else. I work, I raise my kids, bath time, homework, playing with the kids. I read to my kids every night. At least my youngest, I still read to her every night. And but other than that, like I don't do anything. All my kids have extracurricular activities, so whether it's soccer games or dance class, whatever. But other than that, like I don't do anything besides this. I research content, I read, I write, and I watch informational videos. That's all I do. I don't waste time watching Netflix. I don't know any of the shows that people talk about. I don't watch sports. I couldn't name a any specific statistic on any football team. I don't know any of that stuff. So, I don't go fishing. I don't do anything. I just, I read and work and make content now. So, how do we know it's not true? So, the Messiah is not specific in Jewish people. I'm a Jew and couldn't prepare for my bar mitzvah. You were a great dad. Thanks. I love my kids. I mean, they mean everything to me. Uh, so, how do we know it's not true? First of all, that's a broad question, and I'll be here for days talking about that. But like for me personally, I couldn't get through the first few pages of Genesis without realizing it wasn't true. So I kept on reading, thinking that it can be taken metaphorically. Like Genesis is a metaphor. And how we know it's not true is because just like contradictions can't be true. This is one of the things I love about Hinduism, and I love Taoism. I read the Tao Te Ching. I have a copy of it. I think it's awesome. A lot of Eastern philosophies are fascinating to me, and a lot of the Greek philosophy is fascinating because there's a lot of paradoxes, but they're not contradictions, and there's a difference between a paradox and a contradiction. A paradox is two things that at face value seem to be opposite of each other, but together they actually make perfect sense and harmonize each other. A contradiction, yeah, a paradox. One of my favorite paradoxes is like uh, there's an exception to every rule. So if there's an that's a paradox because if there's an exception to every rule, then that means that there's an exception to that rule, which would mean that there's not an exception to every rule. You understand? So, which means there is an exception to it, and it's just a loop. But like, it doesn't contradict itself. It's just a paradox. I mean, there's a bunch. I couldn't decide on what am I even asking isn't true. Yeah, so I mean, so basically, the Bible's not true. Christianity's not true. Judaism's not true. I'm sorry, but like, uh, so yeah, so that's a paradox. A paradox. The Tao Te Ching. It's the first line. I believe it's the very first line on the first page in the Tao Te Ching, which is like an Eastern philosophy, Chinese philosophy. But it says the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. So it's basically saying that if it can be spoken, then it's not representing the actual eternal Tao. But it's like if someone's speaking it to you and that's the only way for you to learn it, then are you even learning it? It's like, it's a paradox. But what if we just say there's an exception to most rules? Um, the issue with that is that there's not an exception to most rules. There is an exception to every rule. Like you will be able to find an exception to every single rule. And I mean, I have yet to find a rule that doesn't have an exception. You can say that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't even know half of my own ethnicity and or faith. What is the Tao? Not the Mao, right? Like Mao Zedong. No, no, no. It's the Tao. It's spelled Tao. The Tao Te Ching, but it's not with a D. It's with a T, but it's pronounced as D. The Tao Te Ching is a Eastern ancient philosophical book, and it's just like filled with really really wise quotes and awesome paradoxes like that, and really just a lot of deep abstract wisdom. But it's not filled with dogma the way that the Bible is. It's like it's actually poetic and metaphorical, and it's not even trying to claim that any of it should be taken literal, and it doesn't have any misogyny or rape or murder or genocide or debilitating contradictions the way that the Bible does. So, uh, buddies, you mean Buddhas? Buddha? Yeah, Buddhism. Oh, I love Buddhism. Yep, I love Buddhism. Very similar to the Tao Te Ching. It's another Eastern philosophy. And yes, I've read a lot on Siddhartha Gautama, the original Buddha. I think Buddhism's awesome. And there's also, just like with Judaism, there's a large branch of Buddhists that are atheists. Atheistic Buddhism is not it's not uncommon at all. So a lot of them don't believe in any type of God, and then but the majority of them, they still believe in like a spiritual realm, and like other dimensions. Some of them believe that it's just like ancestors and stuff in those dimensions. Some of them believe in other external entities and spirits and stuff like that. And then some of them do believe in some supreme deities. But like there's a lot of atheistic Buddhists that are awesome. Eckhart Tolle fan. Yeah, 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 yeah. I love him. He was one of my favorite authors growing up. Um, when I mean, like through middle school and stuff, like that was some of my favorite stuff to read. Yeah, he's great. I have some of his books on my shelf there. Uh, yeah, and I maybe actually on the shelf in there. No, I do. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle or Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, he's awesome. He is funny. Did and like yes, there's stuff like the Four Agreements, which was based on Toltec wisdom. Like that's the thing. I'm fascinated with theology. I'm fascinated with yeah, he is great. I'm fascinated with all the deepest questions that we can ask. Where are we going? Where did we come from? Why are we here? You know, what's what is time? But like and that's why I'm fascinated with all different religions, and but I would never subscribe to any of them. I can appreciate some more than others, and I feel like some are less destructive than others, and some people are less antagonistic than others. So yeah, so that's why like a lot of the Eastern philosophies, like I said, they're filled with more paradoxes, less contradictions, and so that so that was he has a dream at 30. Do you know his life story and how he changed his name? And it is awesome. Seems like you're always thinking, cannot stop mind. maybe Mary Jane to try and stop your mind. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes. Uh, it does help me focus. But no, I don't know the story about how he changed his name. If I ever did read it, I definitely forgot that. But how do we know it's not true? I'm still there. I didn't forget it. Am I reading properly or not? I am. Oh, he talks about it. Um yeah, so but the Bible's full of contradictions. I mean, the beginning of Genesis is a directly contradicts itself, and it contradicts science, it contradicts history, and then it contradicts itself even based on its own framework. It'll tell you the same story twice and have two different numbers in two different stories. The creation accounts of Genesis, there's two different creation accounts, and they clearly contradict each other, and they clearly contradict everything we know about physics. So, like, Cliff said, you don't have ADHD. You were just told that and believed it. Cliff, you're talking to her, right? Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. Like, they have a diagnosis for every personality type. Like, I don't think that ADHD, when people give it a name like that and get diagnosed like that, it's almost like they're making it its own transcendental force, where like ADHD is just, everyone's different and some people focus in different ways, and like if you learn how to do it effectively, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, I know someone who was diagnosed with ADHD, and he's by far one of the smartest people I know. Reading the psychology, I'm analyzing of your mind from this. I can't not psychoanalyze. It's just my, oh, I can't not psychoanalyze. It's just my nature. Oh, I get it. Oh, you denied it for years. Do you believe we have a soul? I'm having trouble with that concept lately. I would definitely recommend, like, just a few videos back, I made a video about the history of the concept of the spirit and God. And basically, no, I don't think that we have a soul, and I think that the concept of souls has been uh fabricated, but that doesn't mean that like we might not have some sort of individual stream of consciousness that can tap into things. But like the issue here is that the word soul is a later adaptation. The word spirit is much more ancient, and the word spirit comes from in Hebrew, in ancient Hebrew, the word for spirit was pneuma, or no, I'm sorry, uh, ruach. Ruach was the spirit for ancient Hebrew. Do you believe? I don't. So yeah. So the Hebrew word for spirit was ruach, and in Greek, in ancient Greek, the word for spirit was pneuma, like the where we get pneumonia from. Like the thing is that pneuma and ruach, those words, they meant spirit, but they also meant air. So people thought that your breath, I mean, they also meant air, they also meant breath, and it was also used for wind. So the thing is, in later translations, we separated these things, but initially, ancient people didn't know what air was. They didn't know that it's an actual particulate matter. People don't realize that these days. In their mind, this is nothing. There's nothing around us. So when you breathe this in, your breath was your pneuma, was your spirit. they did know that if you lose your breath and your breath is cut off, then you die. So they literally thought that the life force was the breath, the pneuma, the spirit. It was no different to them. Uh, in Genesis, when it says that God created Adam out of clay and then breathed his spirit into him, it was the word pneuma. That was the word ruach. It was the same word that they used for the wind. Uh, can you read Hebrew and Greek? You say you forget things. Yeah, root of the words. My brother loved linguistics, and error is a symbol in astrology. I'm telling you, if you get on educating, debating, singing is air. Singing is air. My point is that you said aliens exist. Yes, that is like, I don't think anyone would really argue that it's most likely that aliens do exist. I mean, even like I can't stand the ancient alien nonsense. Those people definitely lie about a lot of stuff. But the idea of these ancient aliens and stuff, it makes a lot more sense than believing in like the biblical God or Jesus. I will get you to see the astronomy. Sorry, but I go on tangents too much, I want to say. John Pace says, interesting. I will have to check out the video you mentioned. Yeah, yeah, definitely check out that video. I go into all the details on that. But basically, yeah, the idea, well, Christ's Supper, do you believe in the flying UFO? Uh, I'm very skeptical about like flying UFOs. If you would ask me if the Last Supper, if you would ask me about UFOs, oh, the Last Supper painting. uh, there's more. There's more about the spirit and the soul that I would like to talk about. But yeah, if you would ask me like 10 years ago, or maybe not 10 years ago, but back before drones came out and everyone was flying them around, I would have swore I saw a UFO or multiple UFOs. It was three of them, and I was with a group of people, and we saw them over an extended period of time, and there was no other explanation for it. It was three lights in the sky locally. Seemed like they were following us. They were moving independent of each other, up and down and in all directions, and weren't making any noise. Like they weren't loud airplanes, or like helicopters or anything. It makes perfect sense now though that those were definitely drones. This was just years before like drones came out. Like people weren't. But like, I mean, I live not far from a military base, so, or at the time I was much closer to it. Sorry, too much. I want to learn too. Really interesting. It's like food for the brain. Absolutely. Oh wow, like the people on island where they never saw planes before. Do you know of that study? Yeah, are you talking about the Sentinelese Island or the North Sentinel Island or whatever? Uh, are you? Yeah, where the planes landed. What do they call that? They call that pocket religions, not pocket religions. I forget what it's called. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, where the plane landed and then they built a replica of an airplane out of sticks and they were like worshiping it. Yeah. I don't know why I can't think. It's annoying that I can't think of what they're called. Cargo cult. A cargo cult is what they call it. Yeah. I wanted to say pocket religion. Yeah. Because they dropped off cargo goods and the people thought it was like from some type of god. Yeah. But Yeah. Uh, what was I gonna say about that? There was something else I wanted to comment on. You Dash, you don't remember things, but you must because you have so much information. Uh, yeah, I guess I try. I really do. But yeah, that's fascinating how those people started worshiping them. But yeah, I don't think I'm really skeptical about local UFOs. I'm not so sure if anyone's ever seen aliens. I used to be really into the reptilian thing too, and the Pleiadians and all that. You know, I've read Zachariah Sitchin. I have his book over there too. I didn't mean Dash. I meant to say okay. And you say you don't remember things. Yeah, yeah, I know what you meant. Uh, the thing is, like, no, I don't believe that stuff. I'm not convinced. Elon Musk. I'm not convinced, but it's just logical to say there must be other life out there. I am convinced that the universe is eternal and infinite. It's the only thing that seems to make sense to me. The concept of infinity is just the only thing that could possibly make sense to me. Even especially just based on that law of thermodynamics that we talked about, energy and mass can never be created or destroyed, they just change form. So like I do think the universe is infinite and eternal. There's no reason to think that there's not lots of other life out there. There maybe even be infinite other forms of life. Like, I don't know. I think it's a little ridiculous to say for sure that there's not, or to try to deny that. And it usually, takes the religious minded people to deny that. A lot of them don't want to believe that. Do you watch Deconstruction Zone or allegedly Ian? Yeah, I love both of those guys. Justin from Deconstruction and allegedly Ian. I only know allegedly Ian from Deconstruction Zone. I have watched some of his stuff. Yeah, he's great. Those guys are great. They're awesome. I enjoy all those, pretty much all that stuff. I don't, I'm not in the community like that. I don't know enough about that. I don't spend enough time like on TikTok and stuff. But yeah, Deconstruction Zone is awesome. I mean, I've studied his cheat sheet in and out. So yeah, Meso and Joel are really good too. Yeah, yeah. Vaguely familiar with them. I don't really know them that well. Yeah, there's just so much out there. And I'm always trying to work on other like videos, so it's just tough to find time. When I'm making a video on a specific topic, I don't like to get distracted with anything else, so I pretty much listen. I can help, you can help. uh yeah, I mean, I could always use help, but my point with making this content was never just to try to share stuff. My point was also to learn and to just share what I learn, and to bring people along on the journey as I'm learning it. But then, like, I've always been really critical about not sharing things unless I can support them. Again, we can speculate on the things that are speculative, but like hyper focused. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I have time. What am I doing? I need purpose. And you're a teacher. Learn, share, learn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 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 exactly. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I like, I wouldn't know how to get help. Like, I mean, there is certain things that are just time consuming that I don't enjoy doing, like editing the videos and adding images to them, and like all that stuff is just like such a waste of time. But like as far as the research process goes, like I can't really uh there's no way I could outsource that to anyone else because that's actually what I love doing. Even when I was making music, that's what I would do. I would always, I would always just cross-reference and research and take notes and, read over and over and over, and then I test myself on my notes. And that's still what I do when I'm researching for my videos. If I watch a lecture or if I read something and I take notes on it the next day or maybe even a few days later, before I look at my notes again, I'll test myself on it. I'll try to rewrite them and see how much I can remember from the notes that I took without even looking at them yet. And then I'll go back and the things that I didn't remember, which is usually most of it, I'll make sure I rewrite those and focus on that a little bit more and just repeat that process. You hyper focus. Okay. ADHD equals hyper focus, good hyper fixation. Oh, oh, hyper focus, good, hyper fixation, not good. Okay. I'm trying to see what I see. Much anxiety, and you're working too much. Is it tiring work? Researching, editing, yeah, it's annoying. See, oh, for a podcast, yeah, see podcast and start with audio, yeah. Yeah, I would like to just basically keep up these live sessions and turn that into a podcast kinda and share those audios too. I kind of did that. You can find some of the there is actually a lot of hours out there of a dream session podcast, but I the work with the guys who are Christian, yeah, I work in a warehouse, so and I grew up doing construction work and cooking in kitchens and landscaping, but like now I work in the warehouse and I wake up every morning at 4 and like always pick up extra hours when I can. And so, some days are tougher than others, but I'm not sure what you're saying. Sessions are something. Am I trying to do retreats like Eckhart? Maybe eventually. I need more time with my family and kids. Yeah, I do. Oh, sessions. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, no, I called the live streams dream sessions in the beginning because it was mostly focused all around dreams. You can make a career out of this if you expand. Yeah, I would love to. I made $5 on Facebook last month, so like I just got to keep up, and that's why the video is uh I may as well, if I'm going to do an audio podcast, may as well do the video with it. But because I need more time with my family and kids, I haven't been doing this. That's why I stopped going live. I was doing it every week, but now I've been picking up overtime every weekend. So it's like I just had to stop going live. I've been working too much. And then even, when I'm not working, yes, I need to be with the family. But if I could squeeze in a good hour or two every Sunday night, I don't think that's too much to ask for. Like, I put my kids to bed every night. I make it to all their events. I bring them wherever they gotta go. And yeah, if I could do this and not have to work so much at the warehouse, that would be preferable because I think this is a lot more valuable than the remedial work that I'm doing, the tedious work that I do every day. I mean, most of the people that work at my job are going to be replaced by robots in the next couple years. They even told us that I'm going to have to transfer positions and try to get like a maintenance tech or something because people who, I already do research there, so I'm already kind of outside of that, but they're going to replace most of the people with robots, aka help. Oh, you can help. That's fucking amazing. Facebook made $50 and more from me, and so you need someone to help you and family time. Megan Kelly, despite politics, she has like seven staff. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what all these people really do. It's when you can actually get people to help uh manage the social media accounts. Just yeah, that would be amazing if I didn't have to worry about like posting or trying to post every day and uh respond to comments and all that type of stuff. It would definitely save me a lot of time. Sirius XM channel, yeah, I got to get on that too. Yeah, all that. And I do have merchandise too already. I have an Etsy store and I have my own Printify shop. Yeah, Sirius XM, definitely. Your bio has your work emails? Okay. Okay, I will find that. I appreciate that. Uh, shit. I haven't checked on Facebook at all. I don't know. I don't think anyone has even seen it. Where are we at? So yeah, that's that's pretty much all I got to talk about. I might call it a night because I am kind of tired, but I definitely will be getting. I'm gonna be pulling some people on here to debate me, and you could definitely be looking forward to that. And I definitely want to get my watch hours up now that I'm over 1,000 subs on YouTube. You're clearly meant to do something with your passion and expansion. I subscribe. Reach out. Cool. Thank you. You need a moderator. Yeah, I used to have two or three people that were moderators in the old sessions, but things are different now. So yeah, I definitely need some moderators, especially if I'm gonna be debating people up here. And and I won't. I'm not trying to say I'm not. I won't only debate Christians. I mean, I'll pretty much debate anyone on anything. I said it a long time ago, a few years back in the old sessions, that I would debate anything except like the flat Earth because I thought that was just such a waste of time. And you can actually prove to yourself that the Earth is flat, so it's not much of a debate to have. Like Christian theology and messianic prophecies, like that's just more interesting to me. I thought the flat Earth was just like a dead topic. Now I realize it's not because I've been seeing a lot of stuff getting shared about that, even people I know and it's more of an issue than I even realized. And now, and I didn't know this back when I said that I wasn't going to debate anyone on that because it's a waste of time, just a few years ago, I didn't know that the Bible completely supports a flat Earth, and the main reason why most people who believe in the flat Earth hold to it so strong is because they believe in the Bible, and the Bible says the Earth is flat. So now I realize they're inextricably tied together, and it's almost unavoidable. So sure, I'll literally debate anyone about anything, pretty much. I mean, the one thing I probably won't debate is just whether or not an abstract God exists, because like if someone believes in like a deistic God or just like I mean, I believe you can call the universe God. I believe the universe is the only thing that's omnipresent and omniscient, and your consistency is many psychological diagnoses are what you mentally think you have. Yeah, exactly, Cliff. They can be applicable to anyone, kinda as astrological personalities from any sign could apply to everyone. Very well said. Very, very well said, Cliff. Yep, exactly. Your consistency is paying off. Wait, I had no idea the Bible said the earth is flat. Ben Shapiro. Ben, ben Shapiro's cool. He's Jewish. God is a woman. My mom before Ari, but I love the song. That's cool. Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's the one of the most ridiculous things about the concept of God is that so many people call it a he to me. Like it, if anything, they should be calling it a she. That definitely would make more sense for sure. Yeah, but yeah, the Bible says the earth is flat. There's a bunch of passages to support the notion that all the writers of the Bible, from the Old to the New Testament, believe that the earth was flat. And there's nothing in it to make anyone believe that any of them thought it was a sphere at all. You could start out in Genesis, where it talks about the firmament, the dome over the earth, and the word that it uses, I think it was called a reka or reiki, it was pronounced in Hebrew for the dome, and the word kind of loosely translated to like a crystal. And even in the Talmud, a lot of the Jewish writers were arguing between each other about what the firmament or what the dome was made out of. The other word that they used for it was I can't remember it, but it meant like hammered out metal or flattened metal or brass that people used to uh, like like a mirror. They used to bang the metal into flat like a flat mirror, and so that was the word that they used to describe the dome that was placed over the earth. Uh, the first or second, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Uh, and then there's also passages in the New Testament, or well, still in the Old Testament. Job, literally in Job, it says that the earth is shaped like clay beneath a seal, or it says God shaped the earth like clay beneath a seal. And back then you can look at the ancient seals. You can even look at pictures of some from around that same time, and or a little bit later. But what a clay seal is it's a flat piece of clay that they would press their stamp or their signet on, but like it's generally shaped like a little pancake, that's so you watch Daily Wire breakdown of Jordan Peterson. I don't know why on man I'd rather see females too. All I know is I know nothing. That's a great quote, yeah. Like a wax seal. Yeah, very similar to a wax seal, but they would do it with clay back in the ancient times. And like I said, we have clay. They've discovered clay seals. Archaeologists have, and you can see them. Oh, Socrates is all I know is I know nothing. Yes, yes. That okay, cool. Thank you. That's beautiful. But yeah, so it says the earth was shaped like clay beneath a seal, and we know what they looked like I said. And but it also there's more. It also in the New Testament it talks about when Jesus is brought to the top of the mountain, the highest mountain in the world, and he's able to see all kingdoms of the earth from the top of the mountain. I mean, of course, like what is it speaking metaphorically, or is it saying that like he can see them with his mind, like some remote viewing type of thing? But like if that was the case, if he was seeing it like with his mind or in his spirit, then he wouldn't have had to go to the top of the mountain. And like if it's speaking metaphorically, then like exactly what is it a metaphor for, I don't know. I just that's just if they thought that you could go to the top of the tallest mountain and see all kingdoms, then they probably thought the earth was flat. It also explains how the earth is held up with pillars. There's a passage about pillars holding them up. And like I mean I would look it up. Exception to every rule. Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. All I know is I know nothing. Exactly. That is a paradoxical statement. Right. And yes, except that's the exception to the rule. Yeah. Is gravity real? Yes, gravity is absolutely real. It is not buoyancy, and it is not electromagnetism. Buoyancy and electromagnetism are real also. I think electromagnetism is one of the most fascinating forces and one of the most mystifying and if anything is supernatural, it's electromagnetism, except it's actually natural. So, but yes, gravity is real, and gravity is the curvature of space time. So that is connected to us. Electricity, yeah, electricity is absolutely connected to us. I mean, electricity is connected to pretty much everything. I mean, our brains generate electricity inside of the brain. You generate a certain amount of electricity within your neurons. It's absolutely fascinating. And yes, gravity is real, and no, the Earth is not flat, and it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I will say that there is one passage in the Bible that that describes the Earth as curved, and some translations use like circle or round. There's some things that allude to that, but that doesn't, that clay beneath the seal is a little round pancake type of thing. So they didn't say it was a sphere. They, the in ancient Hebrew did have a word for like ball and things like that they could have used to describe they could have said it's shaped like an apple, like it's shaped like a pomegranate. They had pomegranates back then, uh, but it didn't. It said it's shaped like clay beneath the seal. Uh, And I know a lot of Christians that don't like that, but then I also know a lot who think that they can argue the validity of a flat earth by using the Bible. So then we got to go through and debunk the Bible. Moses, no. Real, no. Egyptians, we know how pyramids were made, or no. What do you think? Then I go to care for my beloved Yorkie. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna call it a night pretty soon here because I could talk about any one of those topics all night. But yes, I do believe we know how the pyramids were made, and I think that we underestimate the genius and the industrious nature of humanity. Um, and Moses absolutely was not real. We know he wasn't real, and if he was real, then the name, the dates, and the locations don't add up. So it's like at that point, what do we even know is real about him? That some guy lived somewhere and did some things. That's pretty much so. No, the character of Moses is all fabricated because oh, you got to debate with them. I must moderate. I can see the sass coming out. I love debates and I've moderated my family. So if I can do that as youngest, crazy parents, justice is important. I agree, justice is important. And I'm also the youngest sibling, and I was also definitely the mediator in my family, and definitely still kind of am. But yeah, Moses didn't exist. First of all, his name. Now people still debate his name, but the s- strong general scholarly consensus is that it means to be drawn. Drawn out of water is the translation for his name, or drawn up from the water. And this, uh, not now I'm forgetting, but this was based on the story of someone else. It was one of the Assyrian kings. Hold on, because now I'm bugging. It's not Gilgamesh. Let me just look this up real quick because it's gonna bother me. Um, and I'm not a mythicist, so I'm not trying to come across as a mythicist, but like this is just the truth. Okay, yeah. Sargon of Akkad. Yes. Okay. So the story of Sargon of Akkad, which uh, predates the story of Moses. Sargon of Akkad was of royal blood, and he was cast away into a river, and then he was pulled up out of the river and cared for, and ended up making it back into the royal grounds, just like the story of Moses. So the fact that his name actually meant drawn out of water, and there was already this strong parallel story that existed long before those writings about him. I mean that right away is just so. If Moses existed, his name probably wasn't Moses, and this legend might have been written about someone later on. But like they use names a lot to describe the characteristics or the actions of a person. That's a whole different story. But besides that, Moses couldn't have couldn't have existed because first of all, the first five books were said to have been written by Moses. At least in church history, they believe that they were written by Moses. They couldn't have been because not only does it talk about Moses's death, and it's like obviously Moses, how did he write about the story of how he died? And why is it all written in third person? And also it talks about when they were in Egypt, how they built the storehouses of Pithom and Ramses. Now we know when the storehouses of Pithom and Ramses were built, and okay, and this is all pretty common knowledge, and I have a Catholic Bible right there, and if you look in the footnotes, it actually mentions most of this. What is a mythicist? Prince of Good movie. A mythicist is just basically someone who thinks that Jesus never existed at all and he was completely based on other mythological figures. But I'm not trying to. I'm not. I mean, and that stuff's cool. But oh, Prince of Egypt, good movie. Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, it says they built the storehouses of Pithom and Ramses, but then also in the Bible, it says when the Exodus happened, it says it was 280 years, I believe, prior to the building of Solomon's temple. It says they were called out of the land, and we know when Solomon's temple was built, so this would have put it in like the 1400s, but then it says they built the storehouses of Pithom and Ramses didn't live till like 200 years later. So, do I believe Jesus existed? I don't know. You can make a strong argument on both sides, and we'll never really know. But I'm willing to accept that it may have been based on an apocalyptic Jewish teacher from around that time. Sure. But again, if he did exist as a real person, I mean, maybe he did, he probably did. I know scholars generally do believe that he did. He definitely didn't exist in the way that people recognize him today, to the point where I don't think uh, he would even, like the actual person that existed around that time, wouldn't even recognize the person that we call Jesus today. He wasn't white like that. And none of the quotes in the Bible actually came from him. None of the writings come from until decades later. And he misquotes things. He couldn't read Hebrew clearly from some of the quotes he makes in the New Testament, which, like, if he was actually an apocalyptic Jewish teacher at that time, he probably should have been able to read Hebrew, but for some reason, even he only quotes the Greek Septuagint. So, like, yes, he was Middle Eastern, yeah. Man, was he just a con artist? Yes, and I do think if he did live, he was definitely a con artist. Like, if there's anything that's true about him, and like he very well may have gone to Egypt. There were a lot of people around that time who were known. Even a lot of the Greeks talked about going to Egypt around that time to learn to learn different magic. and ancient Egyptian magic and stuff like that. That was a real thing, and they used a lot of like chemicals, and they did a lot of sleight of hand, and they had all types of interesting tricks, you know. So yeah, I think he was just like uh, an apocalyptic, self-indulged uh, psycho who learned some parlor tricks, if anything. Like if David Blaine was alive back then, everyone would have thought he was a messiah. Uh, Zionist or not? Curious. Last question. I don't think Jesus. Well, depends on the text. Was he a magician like Houdini? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think he was probably a magician like Houdini. The cool thing about Houdini is that he disproved a lot of supernatural things. He called out people who said that they were talking to ghosts and stuff. He made it his life's mission to debunk a bunch of supernatural nonsense. He was awesome. Chris Angel, yeah, Chris Angel is awesome. Yeah, exactly. Chris Angel would have been Jesus. Is that the same or a different one? Oh my God, wait, who did that? Houdini. Houdini was known for, when they had like protoplasm back in the day, the pictures of people with like spirits coming out of their mouths and like, or people who did uh, like spiritual mediums who would write. They would do like the close their eyes and write stuff and say that they were deciphering messages from people's lost loved ones. Houdini would go around and trick these people and call them out and show how their tricks were done. He was awesome. He was great. Chris Angel is the modern day Jesus for sure. Yeah. Yeah, optical illusions, sleight of hand, a little bit of psychology, a little bit of the power of suggestion, a little bit of theatrics, it's a blend of all those things. TikTok scammers, yeah. Still today, like fuck those people, yeah. You thought Chris Angel died? Nah, I don't think he died. He's using, yeah, 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 yeah. Right, right, right. Angel. The symbols, yeah, to think of an angel. Yeah, yeah. Ah, that's a good point. I mean, his whole image, like he's cool, but like symbolism, but you aren't seeing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's cool, but like Houdini was legendary. There's other people like the modern Houdini would have been James Randi. I'm not sure if you're not familiar with him, you should look him up. The amazing James Randi, he was called. He died recently. You're hearing it and associating it with an angel, which is otherworldly. Right. Good point. That's part of the psychology. Yeah, for sure. He has that whole mystical persona he puts forth. But James Randi actually had a $1 million challenge where he challenged anybody to prove anything supernatural in any type of way. So he would do people who telekinesis and remote viewing and people with dowsing rods and all types of things. And he would basically show how they did their tricks and call them out on it. He would set it up. Some of them are absolutely hilarious. I've shared some before, but I know he basically ruined the career of another magician from back in the old days. This was like the 70s, 80s. Uri Geller was a really popular psychic guy, and he would do like bending spoons and stuff. And James Randi basically debunked him so many times, and it's just so funny. But yeah, no one ever won the $1 million. Basically, Cliff said, "Each wake are dreams, sleep's form of death, wakes revival or reincarnation." Okay, I wish that stuff was real. Yo, me too, me too, and that's I've always been really fascinated in all this stuff, and I mean that's why I look into it so much. And like that doesn't mean that uh it doesn't mean that the universe isn't magical or mysterious. It just means that most of what we consider magical and mysterious is nonsense. But I think we all, just the beauty of a sunset. Uh, there's so many things, Like I said, electromagnetism, gravity is magical, But it's just I'm a naturalist. I don't think that anything is supernatural. I think that nature is extremely super already. Nature is as super as it gets, and whether it's through personal connections, friendship, the love that we have with family members, or our technology and our innovations that allow us to grow and connect. Magic's real, but we just have to interpret it correctly, and we have to be skeptical and not be distracted by the illusions. Although illusions are fun, I love sleight of hand. I love parlor tricks. They're a lot of fun. We can't take them as real, and that's how I feel about all religions. Basically, I think all religions are fascinating, fun, cool to play around with. Learn what you can from them, but don't take any of them as literal or dogmatic. True, electricity and Wi-Fi and stuff would have been considered supernatural at one point. Exactly. I mean, right now we're communicating. I'm communicating with a bunch of different people right now, and like, yeah, this is magical in its own way. And yeah, Wi-Fi, we're surrounded by frequencies that are being scattered and interpreted by different tools and by our minds. And like these things are absolutely magical. All modern technology would have been considered magical at one point. And I mean, we can't even imagine what technology has yet to come that we will consider magical, you know, or that, it won't be magical by the time it comes around, but it's something that we would consider supernatural right now. It's like I'm astral projecting to you to hear what you're saying. Exactly, exactly. This is remote viewing. This is literally like, but we understand it. And the thing is, if people strictly believed that these things were only supernatural, then we never would have gotten this far. That's one of the issues with dogmatic beliefs. Now, I mean, not the, there's exceptions to every rule, but yeah, through Wi-Fi frequencies, exactly, which is electromagnetic. And Yeah, but we never would have gotten this far if just that's the problem with the God dogma in my mind, is that so many people just don't understand something and they stick God in that gap, and they feel like that gives them the answer, and that might limit them, or stop them from exploring it farther in the future. That might stop you short if you think you already have an answer for it. They don't think that they have to come up and die and pick it apart anymore. And then when people do look into these things and come up with rational, reasonable, verifiable explanations for them, people feel like they're insulting their God. And it's like, it shouldn't even be taken that way. Not everyone. There are plenty of progressive Christians and religious people that will accept it, but right, everything is natural. Supernatural is just natural. We don't understand it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Supernatural is just the natural things that we don't understand. Exactly. I mean, and the thing is, like, like, by definition, it has to be natural. Like, what? Yes, yes, supernatural just doesn't. Exactly. Exactly. I agree. So, I think I might call it there. I mean, I do have another spliff. It's late. I think I might start, so I think I might cut this short. Cliff, you said I commented on your symbolism part one video before this live. Thank you, Cliff. You're the man. Did you say something coherent, or did you speak in parabolic, symbolic, fluent, high level master poetry that only the most advanced minds in the universe could understand? Or did you actually say something coherent? I'm just curious. Because it's cool. I mean, you commented here, you actually said a normal sentence. You said, I commented on your symbolism part one video before this live. And whatever you said before, actually, the other comment you left a few minutes ago that I was able to read out loud, that was good. Thank you. Uh, Now, not that I don't appreciate your poetry, but it's all about coherent conversations, for me at least. I'll save the poetry for my music, which as soon as I get that computer over there running, I'll definitely be dropping a few more songs. Uh, is there any questions that I didn't answer? Did I go on any tangents? And yeah, but yeah, John Pace, like when you said it's like we're astrally projecting. Yeah, man, and that's another debate I'm gonna run. I will run that as a topic of debate because so many people are convinced that they've had out of body experiences and they didn't. So I'll definitely open that up. Those are, all the evidence shows that we haven't. And I've challenged people, and I thought I was doing it for a while too. I used to think I could astrally project, but it's definitely not a thing. It's a strictly internal process. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night. Nice. I'm looking forward to hearing it. Yeah, yeah, it'll be cool. I did do a section about out of body experiences on one of my videos relatively recently, and covered some of the tests and the studies about it. So yeah, I appreciate all you people. I'm gonna call it a night probably. Still, I haven't been over to Facebook. Yeah, no, Facebook's dead. It's cool. Uh, this has been fun. I appreciate all of you, Daisy Aruba, Cliff, John Pace. Thanks for the conversation. I definitely plan on being up here next Sunday. Hopefully, I can make it up earlier. But if not, whatever. We'll do the best we can. It's all good. I appreciate all the input, and I'm going to go take my shower and get ready for bed probably. Peace and love, people. Oh, I don't even know how to close this out. Let's start with Facebook because Facebook's whack. Cliff, you said when I get inspired, my words become poetic, naturally flow. That's what you think. Peace out, Cliff. You know I'll be talking to you, man. I'll hit you up.